All right, shalom everyone. How's everyone doing? Today I'm with another lesson, and today we're going to talk about Isaiah 7:14 and Isaiah 9 and 6. Today we're going to prove that these verses in particular are not talking about so-called Jesus Christ fulfilling any kind of prophecy. That right there is a lie from hell. And let's go to the New Testament right quick, Matthew chapter 1, and we're going to go to verse 21 of Matthew, and it says, "And she shall bring forth the child, and she shall bring forth the son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins." Well, first off, you can go to Deuteronomy 28, and the Most High clearly said nobody can save you. And you can go to plenty of verses, like, for example, Ezekiel chapter 18 and 4, where it says, "No man can die for your sin. You're to die for your own sin." So that right there is a lie, but that's another topic for another day. All right? And 22 says, "Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying," and it's talking about Isaiah, "Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Immanuel," which being interpreted is God is with us. So right there, that is a lie, because if we look at that, nowhere other than this verse right here, Matthew 1 and 23, was Jesus ever called Immanuel. Everyone called him either Christ or Jesus. So that right there is a lie. I don't see why anyone would believe that. So now let's go straight to the source, Isaiah 7:14, and we're actually going to start at the beginning of it. Okay. Now we're going to start with verse 1. All right, so, and it reads, "And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it." So that verse right there, verse 1, if you know anything, you got to go back to I want to say it's First or Second Kings. I have to check. But the split of the northern and southern kingdom. So Israel, or Ephraim, or the northern kingdom, that was where King Pekah was, and King Ahaz and Judah, the southern kingdom, or sometimes known as Jerusalem or Judah, that's where the southern kingdom was. And the southern kingdom was Judah and Levi, and northern kingdom was basically, Ephraim was the head tribe, Ephraim, Manasseh, Naphtali, all those other tribes. So, basically, the northern and southern kingdom were at war with each other. In verse 2, "And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate," or Syria has basically, has an agreement with Ephraim, "and his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field, and say unto him, Take heed, and be quiet, fear not, neither be faint-hearted, for the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria and the son of Remaliah, because Syria, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have taken evil counsel against thee, saying, Let us go up against Judah and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son Tabael." So basically, the northern kingdom, they want to use Syria, or the Assyrian Empire, to basically go in and kill the king of Judah, King Ahaz, and set their own king up, when the Most High ordained that King Ahaz on the throne. So the Most High said that was not going to happen. All right. Now, verse 7, "Thus said the Lord God, it shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass," meaning it wasn't going to happen. Verse 8, "For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin, and within 80 and 5 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it not be a people. So basically in 65 years, within 65 years, the Most High was saying that Ephraim would not be a people. They would not be a nation anymore. All right? Verse 9. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son, or Pekah. If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. So Most High is saying, if you don't believe me, then surely you're not going to be king, or basically he won't be living, and his kingdom won't be standing either. Right? Verse 10. Moreover, the Lord spake unto Ahaz again, saying, Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God, ask it either in the depth or in the height above. Verse 12. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. Now verse 13 here is key. Alright? We'll slock it. We're going to get that in a sec. And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David, is it a small thing for you to weary men, but ye will weary my God also? Now 14 is key. I don't see how this is, talking about Jesus, but let's see. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you, and the you is talking about King Ahaz. So let's insert that. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give Ahaz a sign. Behold, a virgin, and the word virgin in the ancient Hebrew is ha'alma or alma, which basically means a young maiden, a young woman. It doesn't mean how it is in English, someone that's never had sex before. All right? A virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both of her kings. Now verse 16, when it's talking about both of her kings, it's talking about the northern kingdom, or Israel, Ephraim, and Assyria, with King Rezin. All right? 17. The Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come, from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the utmost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. And they shall come and shall rest all of them in the desolate valleys, and in the holes of the rocks, and upon all thorns, and upon all bushes. And that same day shall the Lord shave with the razor that is hired, namely by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the feet of and the hair of the feet. And it shall also consume the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young cow and 2 sheep, and that it shall come to pass for the abundance of milk that they shall give, he shall eat butter, for butter and honey shall every one eat that is left in the land. So basically, right here, it sounds like the Most High is going to be doing some kind of purging here. All right? And it shall come to pass, verse 23, and it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were 1,000 vines and 1,000 silverlings, it shall be for briars and thorns. So it's talking about the Most High is going to destroy the land, and he's going to curse it. With arrows and with bows shall men come thither, because all the land shall become briars and thorns. Basically, it's going to become a war zone. Right? And on all the hills shall be digged with the mattocks. There shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the trading of lesser cattle. Right? Now, we're going to go to chapter 8 of Isaiah. So we just proved here, right quick, before we go to chapter 8, we just proved here that Isaiah chapter 7 had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. That had everything to do with the northern and the southern kingdom having their argument like they always do, and the northern kingdom taking evil counsel, and making a confederate, making an alliance with Syria, or the Assyrian Empire, with King Rezin, via King Pekah of the northern kingdom, to go against the southern kingdom and destroy it, kill King Ahaz, and put up their own king. That right there is wickedness. That's why the Most High said that he was gonna that was not gonna happen. All right. Now let's go to chapter 8. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, and this is Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll, and write in it with the man's pen concerning Maher-shalal or Hashbaz. And I took unto me a faithful witness to record Uriah the priest. Uriah is a Levite, because to be a priest you have to be a Levite. All right. And Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah. Sorry if I said that wrong. And I went unto the prophetess. Whoa. Let's read verse 3 again. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher-shalal or Hashbaz. So that right there, this child, how can this be, so-called Jesus? Clearly it says Isaiah went on into the prophetess. He had sex with the prophetess, his wife, and she conceived and had a son. I'm sorry, but Jesus was not born around the time of King Ahaz. And you show me proof of that. You show me proof that Jesus was born. All right? For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the riches and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. All right? So we all know that the Assyrian Empire was the one that enslaved the northern kingdom at one point. Israel's been in slavery so many times, but we can prove with history that the Assyrians took the northern kingdom captive. And the southern kingdom, they fled south into Africa, and that's where the transatlantic slave trade occurred. But you still do have some in West Africa in different parts. All right? The Lord spake also unto me again, saying, for as much as this people refuse the waters of Shiloh, that go softly and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son, now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river strong and many, even the king of Assyria in all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels, and shall go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah, and he shall overflow and go over, and he shall reach even to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Immanuel. Okay, so clearly this is talking about Maher-shalal or Hashbaz or Immanuel. This is not talking about Jesus. Associate yourselves, O ye people, and be broken into pieces, and give ear, all ye of far countries. Girt yourselves, and ye shall be broken into pieces. Girt yourselves, and ye shall be broken into pieces. That right there, we can go back and we can prove that back in chapter 7 of Isaiah, the Most High said that the northern kingdom was going to be, there will not be a people anymore. All right? Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us. God, Most High, wasn't with the northern kingdom for transgression and trying to go against their brothers, going against their own people, so teaming up with the other nations. All right. For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of his people, saying, say ye not a confederacy to all of them to whom his people shall say a confederacy, neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to the house of Israel, to the houses of Israel. So it's talking about both houses of Israel, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, all 12 tribes. For again, and for a snare or a trap of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, which is talking about the southern kingdom. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up thy testimony, seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, for the Lord of hosts which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep, and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God, for the living to the dead? Well, we all know that he's a God of the living. And Israel, if you go back, Israel, they had a problem going to sorcery, another form of idolatry. They had problems going to see witches, warlocks, fortune tellers to try to get prophecies, and the Most High abhorred that. That was an abomination. He actually put a lot of people to death for that. All right. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, the Torah and the Tanakh, not the New Testament, it is because there is no light in them. The light is the truth, and the truth is the law, because it's like a lamp. The lamp provides light. So that's talking about the laws. The laws, statutes, and commandments are our guides to following the Most High. That's how we know that we love the Most High and that we follow Him, is if we follow His law, statutes, and commandments. The Christians don't do that. The Christians do whatever. So they don't love God. They actually hate God, and God hates them. Right? And they shall pass through it hardly bestead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look upon the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven into darkness. Well, you're driven in darkness. You can go to Isaiah 28, where it talks about they were groping at noonday. They had no lights they had no laws to guide them, so therefore they were lawless. And lack of law, you go off, you have transgression, and that's what Israel did. Whenever they decided not to follow the laws, they went off, and the Most High punished them. That's why they went into captivity. They kept going to captivity because they were stiff-necked people. All right. Now, chapter 9. Right. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, by Jordan and Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. So that right there is talking about once they've realized, they were gone off, they want to come back to the law, statutes, and the commandments. It's not talking about Jesus. That right there is a star beside it in my Bible. A lot of the stars, it tries to represent, saying that Jesus, that's a prophecy he fulfilled. It's further from the truth, though. All right. Anyway, so verse 3: Thou hast multiplied the nation and not increased the joy. Well, that's part of the curses anyway. You shall be increased, but your sorrows, shall increase as well. They will not be happy. That was part of the curse in Deuteronomy 28. They joy before according to the joy in the harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the yoke represents when you can go and see in Deuteronomy 28, or in general, a yoke is used for enslavement or captivity, right? For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, in that day of Maidan. Well, Maidan, I believe, is ancient Iran, modern day Iran. So I look at it in my map back here. Let's see, Maidan. Yeah, Maidan, the Medes, is modern day Iran. All right. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Almighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and the peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth forever and ever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So clearly, when we go back in verse 6, it says, for unto us a child is born. That's talking about present tense. That's not talking about future tense. If it was talking about future tense, it would say, for unto us a child will be born. For unto us a son will be given. But it says, for unto us a child is born, present tense. For unto us a son is given. That's present tense. That's not talking about future tense. And that's way before you have, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Limitations, Obadiah, Zechariah, Malachi, Zephaniah. You have a couple books before that even gets to the New Testament where things happen. So this clearly cannot be talking about Jesus at all. All right? Let's go a little further. The Lord sent a sword into Jacob, and it hath lighted up Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, say that in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones, and sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars. Therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against him, and join his enemies together. So right here it's talking about Rezin, the king of Syria. The Most High is gonna kill Rezin. All right. The Syrians before, and the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with an open mouth. Right here, verse 12 says Most High is gonna allow the enemies to come against the northern kingdom and kill them. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. For the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them, neither do they seek the Lord of hosts. Therefore the Lord will cut off Israel head and tail, branch and rush, in one day. So 1 day is equal to 1,000 years, but it says he will cut Israel off. We can go back and we can see, he was cut off from the land of the living. That right there, that's part of Isaiah 53, which we won't get into. We'll get into that in another video. All right. It says, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, that they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither have mercy on their fatherless and widows, for everyone is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. For wickedness burneth as in the fire, it shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire, and no man shall spare his brother. And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man of the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, and they shall together be against Judah. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is still stretched out. So God right here is saying he's going to punish the northern kingdom. And we do see back early in the Old Testament where Israel, they were punished. The Most High smote them with madness, where He caused them a great famine in the land. He caused them to eat their own babies. All right. So we can clearly see here where I have not seen anywhere where Jesus is in this so-called Old Testament. Now, right quick, before we finish up, we're going to go to 2 Kings 15. All right. So in 2 Kings 15, it has more on what happened to King Pekah. All right. Let's find the verse here. All right. Verse 25 of chapter 15 of 2 Kings. Let's read. But Pekah son of Remaliah, a captain of his, conspired against him and smote him in Samaria in the place of the king's house with Argob and Arieh. Sorry if I say that wrong. And with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him and reigned in his room. And the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. In the 2 and 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah the son of Remaliah began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned over 20 years. He did which that was evil in the sight of the Lord. So already this was a wicked ass king right here, and Israel was already a wicked people. But we see that King Pekah was wicked, all right? And in those, let's finish. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. I mean, he made the northern kingdom to sin by going off. And he did that which was evil. Slakia 29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel-Beth-Maachah, and Genoa, and Kedash, and Hazor, and Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive into Assyria. Like I said, the Assyrians carried the northern kingdom captive, and you can go back in history and prove that. But right here, biblically, that's proven. And Hoshea the son of Elah made a conspiracy against Pekah the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him, and reigned in his place in the 20th year of Jotham the son of Uzziah. So clearly, the Most High said that both of their kings would be taken and that they would be broken as a people. I just proved here that I backed up what Isaiah chapter 8 said, that they would be broken as a people, and it was chapter 7 said that would also reiterate that in chapter 8 that both the Remaliah's son Pekah would be put to death. The Most High put him to death. Now, we're going to go to 2 Kings 16 and start with verse 5. All right. It says, Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to war, and they besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him. Well, we read in Isaiah 9, in chapter 7 of Isaiah, why the Most High said that wasn't going to happen. Most High said they weren't going to prevail, and they did not prevail. All right. Verse 6. At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria, and drave the Jews from Elath, and the Syrians came to Elath and dwelt there unto this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria, and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which is Pekah, which rise up against me. And Ahaz took the silver and gold and was found in the house of the Lord in the treasures of the king's house, and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him, because the Most High said that he was going to make sure that he protected Ahaz if he believed in him. For the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried the people away captives to Kir, and slew Rezin. And King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw an altar was at Damascus. And King Ahaz sent Uriah the priest, the fashion of the altar and the pattern of it, according to all the workmen thereof. So clearly we can see here that the Most High put King Pekah to death. That was proven. That was said. The Most High said it was going to happen. If he says he's going to do something, it's going to happen. It's going to come to pass. So we can clearly see where in the hell did this Jesus Christ character come in. Because you can't show me not one single verse in the so-called New Testament where King Ahaz was around. Because for that to have happened, you tell me this. If Jesus was around when King Ahaz was around, you tell me why... hypothetical. I'm going right now to say if it's true, with the New Testament is true. All right. For argument's sake, let's say that Ahaz was alive during Jesus' time. You tell me why there was no king in the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom was in slavery, because you saw how he told them to go preach to the Northern Kingdom, the Gentiles. How Paul went to Greece and all that. How is it that the Northern Kingdom was not around? There was no Syrian Empire around. The only empire that was around was the Southern Kingdom, which were part of the Levites, but majority Judah and Benjamin. So you tell me, where was Jesus? Where was King Ahaz during this time? Because King Ahaz was long dead, and during the time of Jesus, there was no king sitting on the throne of Judah. Simply wasn't. You can't prove that. Prove it. I haven't seen it. I haven't read it yet. And if you find it, please enlighten me. But, this is nothing but a bunch of lies. This New Testament is lies. It's garbage. And we just proved today that this is nothing but a bunch of garbage. It's lies. It's folly. And we need to wake up. We really need to wake up. We really need to see that this New Testament is going to cause us to get put to death when the Most High comes back, because he's coming back soon, and he's not playing. And a lot of you might try to come attack me and say, oh, well, you're misinterpreting Scripture. You're twisting Scriptures. I'm not twisting Scriptures. I'm reading it as is. You show me where Jesus was in that. And if you don't believe me, make a video. All right? I'm upset. I used to believe that. I'm not going to lie. I used to believe it, but the Most High woke me up. I thank him for that. He woke me up, and he used some other brothers to help me get out of that idolatry, that Jesus worship, that penis worship. That's all it is. It goes back to ancient Babylon. It's part of Egyptian customs too, mixed in with some Romans. So, brothers and sisters, you know what it is. I just proved here again that the New Testament is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. It's lies. And that Immanuel is not Jesus. And that King Ahaz was not around during Jesus' time, because the Romans were around, and the Romans invaded in 70 AD. Right? So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Drop your comments below. Thank you for the support. Until next time, shalom.